everyone. So crystal healing guidance and support for this week of December 7th. I always come on December 8th because Mondays tend to be what I call dream days, where I do my spiritual work and my vision work and let creative ideas come through and flow. So that's why I always show up on Tuesdays for these readings. But anyway, coming to the reading, this was interesting, the crystals that came through for this week, especially given the message that came through for the month of December. This seems like kind of almost polar opposite. So I've got pink aventurine, pink opal, and blue calcite. Very emotional crystals. You know, and I look at these three right off the bat, and what I see is a lot of emotional, soothing energy, healing energy, nurturing energy coming through for this week. So I'll start with the pink aventurine, which most pink crystals are resonant with the heart chakra. And pink aventurine, I always find, is quite a jazzy heart chakra crystal. It's very sexy, it's very fun, it's very flirty, it's very energetic. It really, especially if we're feeling kind of blocked or stymied in terms of love, and not just love in terms of romantic love with people, but love for life, love for adventure, love for culture, love for whatever sparks your passion. This really helps to energize love energy, that type of love energy in the heart chakra. So when I tune into this crystal in terms of channeling its message for this week, the words sparks joy comes through, and passion. And we tend to associate passion a lot with sensual passion or sexual passion, really kind of fiery passion. This is more, it's more heart-centered. It's more focused on joy. It's referring to as the higher passions, not in terms of higher, lower being, good or bad, or one being better than the other. What it's referring to is it's referring to higher passions of the heart in terms of spirituality, in terms of love for nature, in terms of love for magic, transformation, alchemy, that which really ignites the passion of our spirits. And again, we can get really caught up in the passions, and higher, lower, I think refers more to heaven and heaven and earth. Spiritual versus physical, higher chakras, which are more, spiritual in nature, as opposed to the lower chakras, which are more physical. And again, we tend to associate passion and, that sparky kind of energy with more physical based passions. But it's this week, there's an encouragement for you to nurture and indulge in and reignite your spiritual passions, that which sparks the flow of your spirit. Our spirits need to be nurtured. One of the things that I'm seeing is, again, so many who, affected by the shutdowns, nothing to do at home, watching a lot of television and other things. And I mean, that's great, but that really starts to dull and separate the spirit. Separate us from the spirit. We kind of go into that sort of, unconscious kind of mental plane. It's the same thing with a lot of the challenges and the fears we've experienced this week or this year. So this week's crystal, that guidance, that healing guidance, is about passion, and the passion that sparks and ignites the spirit. So next we've got pink opal, and so next we've got pink opal. pink opal. And pink opal, there's differing opinions on pink opal. Some people and some teachings about pink opal share that this crystal can amplify and magnify, our feeling natures, our emotions. So if you're in a place, a state of, emotional upset, upheaval, it's not necessarily a good crystal to wear or work with. I personally have found this to be the exact opposite. I remember that the first time I started working a little more deeply with pink opal, and I was called to wear it while I was traveling, while I was flying home from New York City. And I find, travel makes me anxious. Change makes me anxious, because I have an anxiety disorder. I've had it since I was a teenager, which I, have shared openly for years. That's part of what brought me into crystal healing work. Actually, what drew me in was how they helped me with those feelings. So when I wore pink opal, I just felt like everything flowed. I was in a good mood. I was in a good vibe. I felt mellow in a really kind of pleasant way. I connected well and genuinely with the people who are around me, and it was a really, really nice vibe. Opals, opals are very, very water element. They're very feminine, energetically speaking, in terms of the divine feminine. They're very much about coming into the flow. And of course, we do tend to associate magnetism with those qualities as well. But I find, the opals in general to be gentle and soothing so that they can bring us down into the deeper waters of ourselves, which of course is also about intuition and about listening to the spirit, which is an interesting link with the pink aventurine. So tuning in with the pink opal now and its message for this week. Nurture, 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 nurture. And, it's interesting how the water element has come up a lot. I feel like in fall channelings, fall readings of this year. But nurture, 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 gentleness, finding ways to be gentle and nurturing and caretaking of our emotional selves. And again, coming back to this sacred relationship of water, our sacred relationship to water, which is about cleansing, which is about nourishing, which is about providing, but especially, just even laying in a warm bath and feeling how you're enveloped and held by the water. And this is something that nurtures us on an extremely primal level, because that was our experience in the womb, being held, in this watery, dark, warm space where we were nurtured, where we were safe, most of us. And so, again, it's about coming back to those really primal basics in terms of taking care of ourselves emotionally, because we've just been through the ringer this year, and there's a lot of sort of warring of between anticipatory dread and anticipatory hope in terms of where we're headed, in terms of what's coming down the pipe, in 2021. And the message from Pink Opal is decide, where you want to be energetically. Do you want to be more in that place of hope, or do you want to be more in the place of fear? And what are you inviting in? So it's encouraging you, if you have Pink Opal, work with Pink Opal, work on nurturing your emotional self, that sacred relationship to the water, which is so much about life. There's even spiritual and metaphysical teachings about water containing the memory of all time. It's such an old being. It's a goddess in and of itself. And so really, really nurturing and making the decision in terms of where you want to be in alignment energetically and emotionally this week. And then the third one is blue calcite. And blue calcite, is interesting, especially given what I was just talking about in terms of that anticipatory dread, that anticipatory anxiety that many of you might be feeling. This is one of the crystals I recommend to help manage that, to help soothe that. Even for my mom, when my mom has to leave for appointments because she's wheelchair bound, and this world in general has not been set up in a way that is inclusive when it comes to people who are differently abled. So she gets very, very, very anxious, and so I had gifted her a piece of blue calcite that she wears every time, the days leading up to when she has to go out of the home, go out to an appointment, and it really, really helps her. And my mom is open now, but was at one point in time a non-believer when it comes to this work. And so the effects of the crystals have changed her opinion. So that's what I think might be coming through in terms of the blue calcite, in terms of helping us to manage and soothe anxiety so that we can come into a gentler, more open, more receptive to spirit place within. So let's see what the message is from blue calcite. And again, this message about water, the words cool waters run deep. And this is about adopting a space of silence, or a place of silence. Giving yourself room. It could just be 15, it could just be 20 minutes in a place where you can just close the door, you can dim the lights, you can close your eyes, and you can just drop into a place of silence within. And it's saying that's one of the best medicines, one of the best spirit medicines when it comes to anxiety, when it comes to worry, when it comes to fear, but when it also comes to a place of not knowing, or uncertainty, or uncertainty, or a lack of grounding and sort of mooring within, will then create feelings of anxiety. Being able to drop down into that place of center, that place of quiet, to just shut everything out, to not have to think about anything, to not have to deal with anything for just even 15, 20 minutes, maybe in a bath, for those of you who feel drawn to water, but just giving yourself that place of silence to just let it all melt away. And of course, this can be difficult for people thinking that this is something they have to do in their heads, because of course, if you're in your head, you're in your head, which means you're in the mental plane, which means you're right in the room with all your thoughts. But allowing yourself to just soothe and calm, and imagine sinking into the deep, cool waters of your own self, inside yourself, and allowing yourself that place of solace and respite within, can be a 180-degree shift and turn and change in terms of how you're feeling, how your energy is aligned, decisions you might make once you come out of that space. It can be the thing that helps to turn around your day, your week, your month. Who knows, even possibly, your life in terms of the direction that you're heading. So give yourself that space this week. If you have a piece of blue calcite, hold that blue calcite in your receptive hand, which is your non-dominant hand, and drop down into the cool, deep waters of yourself. So that's the reading for this week. That's the guidance. I hope that was of service to you all, and I will be back with more next week. Be blessed.